Aloha mai kākou, e komo mai to Curtain Call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and or with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. The Roots School is a small private school in Haʻikū serving preschool to 6th graders with their arts-related, project-focused curriculum. They have been around since 2006. Last week, they produced an original play by Maui playwright James Minnierʻs, The Cyclopes Gate, at Pro Arts Playhouse. Genie Calagna, the performing arts specialist at the school, directed, designed the terrific sets with Karl Hill, was the costumier, designed the sound and lights with Angel Juarez, and changed the sets between each scene. Phew! Talk about a genie of all trades. She certainly lives up to her name. The Cyclops were feared due to their human diet and were hunted and locked behind a gate. However, one of their family, Cyrus Zaya Owen, was left behind because he was enjoying the flora and fruits of the land. His brother, Argo, Ashley Herman, wants him to join him behind the gates, but the hiding place of the key is unknown. Cyrus discloses himself to some girls, Kat, Regina, Sharon, Ginny, Willow, Wiley, and Liv, Maya Duhamel, who are afraid of him, but he convinces them they have nothing to fear. Word there is a Cyclops abroad comes to the king, Tiago Monroy Perot, who declares a ransom for anyone who captures the Cyclops dead or alive. He wants the eye. Drogo, Loea Ho'opai, the king's knight, captures Cyrus. The girls, led by Kat, decide to rescue Cyrus. Ambrosio Finn Rothman shows up in a spectacular sound and light show and, lo and behold, has a key to anything. The girls return to rescue Cyrus with the steadfast help of Queen Viola Pepper Heard. Cyrus is reunited with his brother and everyone is happy. These children displayed some pretty fine acting chops, especially Master Owen's Cyrus. He had a huge amount of dialogue to deliver, and he did so with conviction and clarity. Other standouts were Raina Charon's Kat. She has to overcome prejudice and misunderstanding to find the strength to rescue Cyrus. Kian Semmerling as Giovanni had a marvelous conversation with himself that was hilarious. The Black Witch Violet Ross was having the best time, and her projection was stellar. Finn Rothman's incantation as Ambrosio was powerfully delivered. You really thought the Almighty may appear. Queen Viola Pepper Heard had the last say, and it was royal to the core. These children had the opportunity to appear in a professional setting before family and friends in a production they can all be proud of and will have fond memories of for the rest of their lives. Ms. Calagna is to be commended for the high production value she created for them and the excellent direction and support she provided. She has built a solid program, and it seems she has a muse in Mr. Minnierʻs. He has crafted 6 original plays for them. There aren't many elementary schools programs who have a resident playwright willing to create work tailor-made for the available talents. Amazing. I look forward to seeing their next production, and for those who are going on, perhaps I will see them at Seabury or King K. The 43rd Annual Maui Classical Music Festival kicked off on Friday at Makawao Union Church. However, this iteration of the festival is without one of its founders. The great violist and golf lover, Yitzhak Schotten, passed away this past September. His wife and co-director of the festival since 1982, pianist Catherine Collier, introduced the new co-director of the festival, cellist Amir Eldon. This year, the festival continues its tradition of presenting world-class musicians for the Maui audience. They put together thoughtful, challenging, and unique programming that introduce new composers along with the beloved 3Bs and more. The program Friday night was entitled Baroque to Brilliance. It spanned from the 18th to the 20th century and featured virtuosity and variety throughout. The program opened with a string quartet in Opus 26, No. 4 by Luigi Boccherini, composed in 1778. The quartet was Annalie Patapaticon, first violin, Ayun Ninomaya, second violin, Matthew Cohen, viola, and Robert DeMay, cello. The larghetto was like a gentle waterfall that flowed into a stream tumbling over rocks. The minuetto made you want to jump up, grab a partner, and skip the light fantastic. There was a lovely tickle from the first violin in this movement. One of the interesting things about this quartet, besides the exceptional playing, despite being a pickup group, was Ms. Ninomiya sat opposite Ms. Patapaticone. I have never seen that, but it was quite effective, and the two were able to see each other, and they were clearly in communication throughout the work. A lovely andante and allegro for clarinet and piano by the 19th century Ernst Chausson closed out the first half of the program. Una Kim and Jenny Lee Cohen have returned on clarinet and piano respectively. Ms. Kim has one of the most pure, glorious tones on the clarinet, and she dances with it. Ms. Lee Cohen is an outstanding accompanist with powerful playing. The ending of this work was sublime. After the intermission, the Griffin Trio, Miss Patapanakun, violin, Roman Boris on cello, and Jamie Parker, piano, held forth on another 19th century chestnut, Felix Mendelssohn's Piano Trio No. 2 in C minor, Opus 66. This was the major work for the evening, and it followed the photogenic introductory description given by Mr. Parker to a T. Mendelssohn was a lover of Johann Sebastian Bach and was credited with revitalizing interest in Bach's music. In fact, the Bach chorale can be heard clearly in the fourth movement of this piano trio. The trio have been together since 1993. They are artists in residence at Trinity College at the University of Toronto. They tour throughout Canada, the U.S., and Europe, and have 22 recordings and commissioned 85 original works for them. At the conclusion, the packed house leaped to its feet in grateful celebration of what they had just experienced. The highlight for me, and for many, was the second piece on the program. This was Boleslav Martinou's three madrigals for violin and viola, performed by Ayano Ninomiya, violin, and Matthew Cohen, viola. For many in the audience, this was their first exposure to the 20th century Czech composer. This work was composed in 1947 in the United States. The first movement starts out sounding a lot like a hoedown fiddle, which transformed into a spirited conversation between the two players as they traded off one against the other, and finally at the conclusion, they came together. The second movement, Poco Andante Poco Vivo, was like being startled from a deep slumber, only to return to blissful dreamland. The romanticism of the work was expressed in melodic duets punctuated by forceful counterpoint. The final movement was a virtuosic gallop through the countryside that featured chordal accompaniment by rapidly passing over all four strings with the bow. This was the most virtuosic of the three highly complex madrigals. The madrigals were all anyone could talk about during the intermission and at the conclusion of the program. They will take their show on the road to Hana on Wednesday, where they will do Mozart, Brahms, and the Boccherini Quartet, as well as Mr. Domain's composition Caprice for unaccompanied cello. On Friday, they will return to the Iʻao Theater for an exciting program of Beethoven and Schumann, and the Griffin Trio will perform the contemporary work Love Triangle for Piano Trio by Dunuk Wijernatne, a Sri Lankan composer. They will conclude the festival on Sunday afternoon at the Iʻao Theater with Rebecca Clark's piano trio written in 1921, and then Christos Hatzis's Old Photographs premiered in 2000, and they will close with the Brahms Clarinet Quintet. Another great program. For tickets and information, go to MauiClassicalMusicFestival.org. It's world-class music right here in our paradise. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for joining me. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.